Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope we all had a very good weekend. Today, we are going to make a short video on the reading of the Marco Polo article. And I'm also going to show you exactly how you should answer the prompts that I posted on Teams last week. Okay. Now, you have 3 days to work on this. So it's plenty of time. You should read it today, think about it today, start writing tomorrow, and then it'll be due Wednesday. So you got plenty of time. Don't rush it, right? But I'm going to go ahead and read this with you. Let me go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see exactly what we're looking at. One second. Okie dokie. All right, so here is the Marco Polo article. So I'm going to go ahead and read that really fast. Marco Polo and his travels to the imperial court of Kublai Khan. Okay, now Kublai Khan is one of the Mongols, okay, who we haven't quite talked about yet. We were planning on doing it pretty soon. All right. So, what happened? Exit full screen now. At the height of the Mongol Empire, Marco Polo served Emperor Kublai Khan in China. When he returned home to Venice, his account of his experiences gave Europeans some of the earliest information about China. Background. In the 13th century, the people of Venice, Italy, believed that the sun revolved around the earth. They thought the universe was created exactly 4,484 years before Rome was founded. As Christians, they considered Jerusalem, the place of Jesus' crucifixion, to be the center of the world. Maps of the time put Jerusalem right at the center. Marco Polo was born in Venice, or possibly Croatia, in 1254. Venice was a city-state located on the eastern coast of Italy. It served as a gateway to the riches of Asia during this era of increasing trade. Goods flowed like water through the city. Ships from around the eastern Mediterranean Sea docked at its port. Merchants and traders set sail from Venice to Constantinople, now Istanbul, Turkey, and the Black Sea. They would fetch goods from Russia and from merchants traveling the Silk Road. The Silk Road was a system of trading routes to and from China that crossed the mountains and deserts of Central Asia. At the time of Marco's birth, his father, Niccolo, and two uncles, all merchants, were away trading. Supposedly, they were visiting cities on the Black Sea, yet their adventures had actually taken them all the way to the Mongol capital of China, Khanbalik, city of the Khan. There, they had an audience with the most powerful ruler of the day, Kublai Khan. Kublai Khan was the grandson of the founding empire of the Mongol dynasty, Genghis Khan. The three Polo men returned to Venice after an absence of 16 years. Upon arriving, Niccolo found that his wife had died. He also discovered that he had a 15-year-old son, Marco, whom he did not know existed. 2 years later, in 1271, Niccolo Polo and his brother, Maffeo, set off again. They took 17-year-old Marco with them. This time, the Polos aimed directly for the court of Kublai Khan. The Polos planned on bringing him documents from the Pope and holy oil from Jerusalem as he had requested. They possessed a gold passport from Kublai Khan. This enabled the travelers to use lodging and horses posted by the Mongols along the Silk Roads. Even then, they took 3.5 years to arrive. Upon reaching the summer palace of Kublai Khan in 1275, Niccolo presented his son. He offered Marco as an emperor to the servant. A talented young man, Marco had learned several languages along the way. He had picked up Mongolian, though not Chinese. He had mastered 4 written alphabets. Coffee break. 2 years before Marco's arrival, Kublai Khan had finished conquering all of China. In some of the Chinese areas that the Khan had conquered, the people resisted having the Mongols rule over them. Kublai Khan needed a non-Mongol administrator to be there. He sent Marco on various sorts of diplomatic and administrative roles. After more than 16 years in China, the Polos begged permission for Kublai Khan to return home to Venice. Apparently, they had proved so useful to the Khan that he did not want them to leave. Finally, he agreed for them to escort a Mongolian princess to become a bride of a Persian Khan. The Polos were free to head back west. This time they traveled by sea in Chinese ships. After many difficulties, they succeeded in delivering the princess. Before they could reach Venice, however, Kublai Khan died on February 18, 1294. With the Khan gone, local rulers reasserted themselves and demanded payment from traders. Consequently, the Polos were forced to hand over 4,000 Byzantine coins to the government of a city on the Black Sea. The payment was a significant portion of their fortune. The Polos returned to Venice in 1295. They had been away for 24 years. Their enthusiastic biographer told stories which may have been gossip, that when they returned, they were wearing Mongolian clothing and could hardly remember their native language. Their relatives had thought them long dead. But then they revealed a small fortune in gems, rubies, sapphires, diamonds, and emeralds. They had sewn into their hems of their Mongolian garments for hiding. Now, the Polos received a warm welcome. You bring out the wealthy stuff, that's when you get the warm welcome, I guess. Soon, Venice went to war with its rival city-state Genoa on the western coast of Italy. Like other wealthy merchants, Marco Polo paid for his own warship. During a naval battle, he was captured. Polo landed in a prison on Genoa. By chance, one of his cellmates was a writer named Rustichello from Pisa. Rustichello had written romantic novels. As Polo entertained the other prisoners with his adventures in China, Rustichello wrote them down in French. This is how Polo's account came into existence. In 1299, Genoa and Venice declared peace. Polo was released and returned to Venice. He married and had 3 daughters. Polo's remaining days were spent as a businessman. He died in Venice almost 70 years of age on January 8, 1324. Polo could have been forgotten in history, but his book, The Travels of Marco Polo, slowly gained widespread interest. It could be circulated only one copy at a time, since printing in Europe did not begin until almost 200 years later. About 120 to 140 manuscripts, hand-printed versions of the travels survive. Each one of them is different. The earliest readers were scholars, monks, and noblemen. Soon, translations of the travels appeared in Venetian, German, English, Catalan, Gaelic, and Latin. It took more than a century for the book to become a part of mainstream European consciousness. That means nobody really read the story, or a lot of people didn't read the story for over 100 years after. Few texts have been more controversial than the travels of Marco Polo. It's not clear who the author is, Polo or Rustichello. Sometimes the text is in a first-person voice, sometimes in third-person narrative. How much of the text is based on Polo's first-hand experience, and how much did the author insert second-hand accounts by others? Certainly, it's a mix. What was reported seems so bizarre to stay-at-home Europeans at the time. Excuse me. Readers often assume that everything is made up. Yet historians have largely confirmed the facts in Marco Polo's account of the Mongol dynasty. Polo proved to be an engaging storyteller. He found Mongolian customs fascinating and reported them enthusiastically. While in China, he had seen the use of paper for money and burning of coal for heat. Paper money had been in use for China for several hundred years by then. Coal had been burned in parts of China since the beginning of agriculture. Polo also missed a few unfamiliar practices. He failed to notice the books being sold in southern China. Books were widely available there because they were printed with movable type made of wood, clay, or tin. Movable type was missing in Europe then. It was not invented in there until 1440 by Johannes Gutenberg, a German printer. When Christopher Columbus set sail in 1492, he hoped to find a route by sea to China. On his ship, he brought a copy of the Travels of Marco Polo, expecting it would be useful. He never made it to China. discovering the Americas instead. But the book remained Europe's primary source of information about China until the 19th century. Now, there's two excerpts here from Marco Polo's books. You don't have to read these, okay? But they would be beneficial to you because it's like a first-person source, okay? Primary source. Very, very good stuff right there. All right. So that's the reading of Marco Polo and his travels to the imperial court of Kublai Khan. And really briefly, I am going to show you your prompts. All right. So under assignments, you have two assignments, right? The packet that I assigned last week, and now this is part of your packet, the Marco Polo writing prompt. All right. You need to click on that. And that's something different. All right. And here's your prompt. You need to respond to this on a Word document and submit the Word document to me. You can email it to me. You can send it to me. You can take a picture of it, whatever. So this is what you need to respond to. Write one paragraph, just one, that explains the main idea of the article, Marco Polo and his travels to the imperial court of Kublai Khan. You have to tell me the main idea. From this week's work packet, use at least two details, two quotes, to help support your answer. Okay, you're looking for the main idea. What is the whole point of the article? And you're using two quotes to show me your evidence. Okay, so it's pretty simple. It shouldn't be too difficult for you. If you have questions, please, please, please let me know. And that's it. All right. I will have another video probably up sometime on Wednesday. And pretty soon I will be contacting parents again if I see that a lot of you aren't starting your work or haven't started working on it yet, okay? So make sure you're doing what you need to do. And I will talk to you guys later. Goodbye.